This is Grace, and I'm sharing information about home buying in general. Grateful that everybody is here to learn what it takes to buy a home, and I hope you get some information out of this, and that will help you through this process. And some of the do lists include getting pre-approved, because when you start this process, instead of taking the time to figure out how much am I going to qualify for, have a credit, if you start your pre-approval process, that takes you from step 1 to step 5. You're halfway through the process. Because then you focus on exactly what you can qualify for. And that's good, because you need to know exactly what you qualify for so you don't waste time. Say for example, you qualify for $200,000, right? Instead of you looking for houses which are $500,000, right? You're wasting time and everybody else's time, unless you focus on the ones that meet your criteria. And also you're not disappointing yourself, because if you've been probably imagining yourself for $500,000 home, and here you are with $200,000. I'm not saying you won't be able to get the $500,000 later on, but maybe right now you have to focus on what you're pre-qualified for, because that also helps you in 2 ways. I tell people all the time, instead of focusing on a higher amount, even if they give you, say for example, you qualify for $200,000, do you feel comfortable with that mortgage payment every month? Because also you have to think about that payment every month. You see? Exactly. Because you're not taking home whatever you, say for example, I don't know the jobs you make, but whatever they pay you, you're not taking all that home to you. You have bills, you have insurance, you have taxes, you have so many things that come out of your take-home pay. You see? So at least knowing, okay, I want to be able to afford $1,000, okay, as a mortgage, then we can also start calculating from there. So it doesn't mean even if they approve you for $200,000 that you have to focus on getting a house for that much. Because then if you do, then sometimes it will also stress you out trying to figure out where am I going to get the rest of the money to pay my other bills, you see? And then you're trying to work so hard and you're not even home to enjoy the house you paid so much for. So it's always good to think about how much you're comfortable with first also. And the next thing is getting to know a local lender, and most likely a reputable lender, because that will help you. Doing the math about your monthly housing cost and see. Basing your needs, especially, instead of your wants. And why do you think I talk about focusing on needs instead of wants?
What you can afford.
I mean needs. Say for example, when I say needs, what are your needs in a home?
Make sure they have a dishwasher, bathroom.
Okay, how many bathrooms? 3 rooms, okay, so how many bedrooms? So the needs are main things you can't live without. So that's like a basic need. And basic need is like, okay, like water. Okay, when you know how to live, that's the things you have to live. So for a house, Wi-Fi.
And they like electricity.
But then that'll come in later after you call. But I mean, like, say for example, you have a family of 4. Okay, so do you need a 6-bedroom house for 4 people?
No.
You see? So those are some things that we might think of later on when we have everything we want and need.
No.
But right now, let's focus on 4 bedroom. Say for example, 4 people. I always say 4 people because I come from a family of 4. So for 4 people, I remember when we purchased our first house, and it was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath.
Yes.
And I remember my husband used to always say, this house is too small, this house is too small. And I was like, no, it's perfect.
It's enough.
Exactly.
That's enough
it's
for 4 people.
enough for 4 people.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. It's like in America, we are small. It's like we have more than most.
Everybody would have their own room.
Everyone has their own room. We had 1 room. on one bed for the longest. And I'm talking my 4 siblings and my mom.
We were 5.
So, and this was a queen size bed.
Wow.
So if I tell you that when I tell my kids this, they think, oh, I'm making up things. And I'm like, you want to call your grandma? I think I can explain. And that's the thing, because then you start being humble and also remember that, you know what, you don't need a lot of those things. You don't need an extra, a 4th bedroom if you can do with 3 or even 2. You see, start with what you can afford. Because those other bedrooms might be, but what are they doing? They might be collecting dust for no reason. So that's not a need, it's a want. And the other thing is a pool. I hear this all the time. So many people want
I don't know how to swim, so I don't know.
somebody who has a house with a pool and they don't know how to swim. Exactly. So that's what I was even getting to. Because I just learned how to swim. And he was like, he bought that house to learn how to swim. I said, this is not the way to learn how to swim.
They ain't gonna use it. I'm serious, they're not gonna use that.
It's so funny. But that's true. Some people do that, you see. We might have to go to the YMCA, learn how to swim, right? Before you get the house with a swimming pool. You see, because that's a want. You see, and he never used it. He never used it. So, but I'm like, you know what? You see, you should have thought about those needs first, but focus on the needs. And the other thing, probably the garage. Sometimes you want the garage. People up north, because they have snow, that might be for them a need. For us here, that is a want. Because you don't have snow in your car, you see? So we don't have a lot of harsh weather like the snow that might affect our cars. We do have the flooding and whatnot, don't get me wrong. But for it to need the garage, and maybe if you use it as storage or extra something.
It's good for storage.
Yeah, but sometimes we do have too much and without realizing the needs might be good enough, you see? Yeah, because then research the neighborhood. So this also helps you because sometimes you want to live on Highland Road, all these other neighborhoods. Just make sure you research the neighborhood as well. Go there during the day, go there at night, go there when it's raining, you see? Because to know exactly what is this neighborhood like. You don't want to get there and then, why did I, you see? Start wondering why, you see? But at least if you know that neighborhood, that will help us figure out, okay, maybe you know 2 good neighborhoods that you're thinking of, that's already giving you what you want and need in your mind. Yeah. And we'll talk about more goal setting soon. But yeah. Next is know your credit score. So when you're getting through the pre-approval process, they will talk to you about that because they will actually check your credit. And also they'll help you if you have something on there that you need to work on. That's what they actually address with you. And it's imperative that you also continue communicating with them to make sure that the recommendations that they give you, they're actually done. Negotiating with the seller, that's actually on our part. When we get in during the contract, if we place an offer and the seller gets back to us, that's how we have to do the negotiation process. Keeping the same insurance company for the first year, we recommend that. But then after that, you have an option to change insurance. I didn't even know this for a while. I used to have the same insurance for the longest. Do you know you can change insurance companies?
For the house?
Yeah.
You
Just like the car.
Even like the car.
Yeah.
You don't feel like comfortable there.
Exactly.
They ain't doing their job like you wanted to go somewhere else.
And also, it's good.
What is the credit level score that allows you to have a house like this?
So that's a good question. I have that information in the back with the different loan programs. However, all that is negotiable because they have different things that change during the loan programs and the process. And this, I probably put this list a year ago. So I know a few programs and terms have changed because what used to be a 640 right now might be a 620. Yeah, because also the lending changes, especially during like times like now. I've heard so many changes are happening, especially now. So this might not be set in stone, but I'll definitely refer it to a lender because for them they always have the most current information than I do right now. But I'll say for the most part, if you have a 580, that's a great start. It's not great because you might not be able to qualify for a lot of programs, but I'll say you'll be able to start. If you have a 680, then of course you're much better off with all these programs available than if you had a 580, you see. But then I want to question people, do not wait until you have an 800 to start. I had somebody, that's great, actually. I had a coworker at an auction I used to work with, and she had great credit. She had 750. So I was talking to her about purchasing a home, and she's like, I'm waiting until I get 800. Do you know she's still waiting? And I keep telling her, you don't have to wait, you see? Because you have great credit. What are you waiting for? But some people get stuck with the number, you see? The money is still waiting on that a few points. That money you could have saved it and by getting equity in your home already. Yeah, so yeah, I would say if your credit is good enough, go ahead and do it. Make the jump. Yeah. Other thing is getting your paperwork in order. I have these binders. I recommend you please hold on to these binders. If you have your paperwork, have something that you have that will help your paperwork stay organized. Because if you have it organized and they ask for, say for example, your W-2s, you're literally just giving it to them. They ask you for income tax statement. You're giving it to them, you see? So you have everything organized and it won't stress you out too. Because if they're asking for information and you don't always know where it is, it's stressful. But if you keep it organized, or even on a laptop and you have it on your jump drive and you can just email it to them, that would be great. Because it's less time on you and less stress as well.
What are the things that they ask for you to provide?
That's a good question.
To get approved?
Yes, most likely they're gonna need your W-2s. They're gonna need to know where you're working, how long you've been there, so they can verify that information. And also they'll need to know, how long you've been there, you have a job, W-2. Some of them ask for your income tax statement. So say for example, at least 2 years of your income taxes. If you haven't filed for this year, then you give them the last 2 years because we still have until April to file. What else do they ask for? I think that's the main thing. W-2s, the taxes. Of course, you have to have your ID.
They ask about bank information? Like
Yes, bank statements. Yes, they might ask you for at least 2 months of bank statements. And for the W-2s, they might ask for a month or two. And it also depends with different lenders, because one lender might say, I need four W-2s. The other says, I need 2. So different lenders might ask for a few different things, but it most likely be similar.
Okay.
Yeah. What else do they ask? How much you make, and then also how much of the house you want. Then you tell them that. Yeah. The next thing is you're getting your paperwork. I say talking to your realtor and lender, and remember also there are loan programs which have 0 down payment, like the USDA and VA. So if you or your spouse is a veteran, you qualify for 0 down payment. Being honest and forthcoming, because sometimes you might have, say for example, you have some savings somewhere. You might have to share some of that information because they will still know. Sometimes they'll find out. So just be forthcoming.
Like if it's in a bank?
Yes, because they'll ask you, do you have any assets? So sometimes people are like, no, I'm not gonna share that I have this and that. And I'm like, just share what you know to be true for you, you see, because they'll still find out. And so instead of you trying to figure out all that paperwork later to share with them, then at least you can share with them now. And also with what they might ask for, if you have a gap in employment, they might ask you the reason for the gaps in employment. So for example, if you skip 2-3 months, then they will ask you and you'll probably email them or write a note why you missed work between this time to this time to fill that gap. And the don't list. So what are some of the things you think you shouldn't be doing during this process?
Stop working. Don't stop working when you're trying to.
Thank you.
But
You can say that over and over again. Thank you.
You gotta make that money.
You have to continue with the same amount or even better, because they want to verify that you can afford that home, right? Don't go on vacation. I had somebody who went on vacation. I'm serious. She went on vacation for 3 months. She was from South America. She called me. She's like, I'm going on vacation. And I was like, when is this? And she's like, I already planned everything, but I'll be back. I'll call you. So I call back. Yeah, okay. She comes back. She tells me she used all the money. So we have to start over soon, one of these days. But yeah, so don't go on vacation yet, right? Because it's great to go on vacation. Maybe you need a breather. You need a break. I tell people this process takes literally 30 to 45 days, or it's what you make it. You see? So you can commit to those days and get done. You see, if you're really focused and get done, and you can go on vacation after that. You see? So you're not limited to not going to vacation. It's just that if you're focused on saving money and buying a home, focus on that. And you don't want any distraction, right? The other thing, assuming that you're able to buy a home because you have the down payment, that's just an assumption, because they have other criteria they might look at before you qualify.
how much can they ask for down payment?
So I would say it depends on the program you get. So say for example, they look at your credit, they look at your income, then they'll qualify you based on that, what programs you qualify for. So on the back, we share the rural development. I mentioned it was 0% down. So there are certain areas actually that qualify for that program. So FHA, you get the 3.5% down, and then the conventional 3 to 5% down, and VA of course also is 0% down. And they also have some other programs too, like grants and whatnot, that they might talk to you about when you ask the lender if you need assistance. They always have like some grants. So it definitely depends. And also with the down payment, I encourage people, just save as much as you can. I'd rather save more than less. And if I can save about 3 to 6%, because then I want to make sure I'm better prepared. So if something comes up at the last minute, at least I know I'm covered, right? Because then I'm not stressed when it gets to that point.
For example, can you give me a number, like 10?
So for example, for $100,000 home, like I said, the 3%, that would be $3,000 to $6,000.
Okay.
So if you have a good $6,000 and you want a house and they qualify you for that $100,000 home, then that's your down payment, right? And then also think about the insurance too. Suppose then I think some other prepaid items. So you have to think about those other things, like when you get the inspection, that's $400 or so that you might have to consider paying for. So if you just try to save as much as you can, using the word no often, that's a big thing, because I hear people all the time, this came up, I had to help, and I'm like, you have to help yourself first. Yeah.
Make yourself happy before you
Thank
make
you.
somebody else happy.
Thank you. Because it gets to a point whereby when you don't prioritize yourself, you see, you prioritize everybody else. You don't really care or love yourself enough to prioritize yourself. So you have to change that to loving yourself, taking care of your needs first. That's why in the airplane they tell you, guess what? You put yourself on the oxygen mask before you try to save somebody else. But most times, I remember I asked a friend of mine when she came here how much money she sent to Africa and to help family. She said for years she's never had any savings. And because, exactly, and it's easy for us to do because we are used to helping everybody. That's the mindset, right? We've been told that, right? That can hold you up for so long that you'll never thrive because you never prioritize yourself. Yeah. So saving is a way of helping yourself too, because you're prioritizing yourself and your needs. And especially if you have a goal that you have in mind, that's very important to start thinking, okay, so I need to save this much, this time, like that. So in here I also have a calendar where you can actually cut out this calendar and also bookmark it, making sure that you're actually making sure this home buying process, like I'm gonna get a house on this date, but then also that comes with a goal setting. We'll talk about that in a minute, but yeah, so whereby you're setting mini goals in the process. February, when I get my income tax on this date, I want to have this much. March, I want to have saved this much. You see, because all that helps. Those are goals, and then you will try to attain it because the goal is like a roadmap. The next thing is about making any large purchases before closing.
Buy something else. So instead of finishing the house, nothing but go for the house.
But that's the thing. But this is funny. I'm glad you mentioned that. Sometimes we might not think like that. You might think, okay, I'm already about to close on the house. I can easily go splurge. Maybe I need to buy stuff for the house, right? So you're thinking ahead. I need a refrigerator. I need this, I need that. Because I remember when we first purchased a home, we had to buy our own refrigerator. So we had to purchase a refrigerator online so it would get delivered at least as soon as we enter the house. But I did my research ahead of time. I made sure we didn't purchase anything prior because
Until when we get that house,
exactly.
you can order what you need.
Exactly. We ended up with a mini refrigerator for at least a week or two because I was making sure that we don't miss up on this opportunity just because we wanted this refrigerator, end up with a refrigerator but no home. You see? Or worst case scenario, end up with new furniture but no home. Yeah, because I tried to do that too. I went to Ashley Furniture and then they had this big sale and they were like, it's only here for the weekend. And my closing was Monday. So I was there thinking, okay, is it a good idea? But I was like, still, are we gonna end up with furniture or are we gonna end up with the house? You see? Because then they would have pulled my credit to put the furniture in the financing to. I said, no, we are not pulling anything, we are not checking anything on my credit until after I purchase a home. So you have to make your stand and focus on that. Also neglecting to think about the cost of home improvement. This is more of an after, especially when you purchase the home, thinking, okay, I won't do anything with the house. You have to work on maintaining that home to build value. Changing jobs. So I know one of the lenders had mentioned in one of the seminars that even if you change jobs, if that job is similar to the last job, they also can count it as income, especially if it's at least 6 months, and especially if it's more income. So that can also be a continuation of your other job. Skipping a home inspection, I don't recommend it. home inspections actually are not required in Louisiana. Every state has their own rules, but Louisiana is not required. But I highly recommend it because you never know what might come up. They check for structural, they check for livability, they check for so many different things, right? In their skills that we are not aware of. I might look at the house and I don't know what's going on with the foundation or the roof, you see? But for them, that's what they go through their training for. So we have to trust those professionals to do their job and to help us in the long run, right? Would you say, for example, if you're going through maybe if you're sick, would you say, oh no, I'm not gonna go to the hospital. I'll just like say really seriously.
You want to
You
know
see?
how long you stop going.
Exactly, you go get checked and then they'll tell you exactly what's going on, and that's pretty much what the home inspection is doing. They're making sure your investment is secure. Just like a lender won't lend you money if they know. You see, like the appraisal comes back and it shows all these defects, and they know that the appraisal doesn't match up to how much money they are lending you. Those lenders are not willing to lend you that much money for that, you see, because it has to make sense for them to lend you that money. And that's why they cover themselves with an appraisal. Another thing is bidding at a real estate auction. So not trying to bid, because real estate auctions, they need cash. So that will use up your cash reserves. And we don't want to do that. We want to keep this to complete on the home purchase. And the other thing was not allowing other companies to pull your credit. I think I mentioned that. Changing bank accounts. The thing with changing bank accounts, because they have to verify funds, you see. So if you're going to this bank with this, so that also gets too much cumbersome for everybody and yourself. So it's easier to keep the same bank accounts that you currently have, and just when they ask you for that, the W-2s, the bank statements, send them this. You see, it's easier for paperwork reasons too. Making large deposits before closing. So, due to the anti-terrorism laws, this was a big thing. I don't know, I watched so many documentaries and I hear that so many people used to carry bags and loads of money and drop it to the bank and to their account. And it's not allowed in the US especially, so people go to Mexico, drop these loads of money in their accounts and they transfer it here, and it's a big thing, yo. But in America, to my understanding, this is not allowed. So make sure if you have maybe 100,000 under the mattress, do not go and deposit it before closing. You see, because then they don't know where the money is coming from. And they have to verify those funds. Buying a vehicle, I don't recommend that for a couple reasons, because that also increases your debt to income ratio, because then they want to make sure it's how you're going to afford this house, you see. So they're going to assess those debts to see how much income you're bringing in. And I know some people say it's a good, you can still do it and it still can work for you with your income, but sometimes it limits your chances of getting into a home. Yes. Another thing is co-signing on any loan, say a student loan or a car loan or anything, because you're also responsible for that loan, like it or not. Or taking out another loan, especially, that also becomes another thing added to your other expenses. So the readiness tips. So what do you all think we should do before the home buyers process?
Research.
Yes, research is important.
You have to believe in yourself and
Thank you. The mental readiness is very important. Get yourself ready mentally, because you need it. Because if you're not ready mentally and you just get into it, you're gonna get in the process and be like, I can't do this anymore. It's so overwhelming. But when you're ready from the beginning, you're like, no, what come what may, I'm gonna get through it. You will get through it. Another thing is improving on your credit, getting pre-approved, and also talking to the right realtor, like Grace. Oh, Grace. Exactly. Always. Oh, thank you for mentioning it. I am always ready to share and educate because I know what it means not to have. You see? And then that also humbles me because then so many people have poured into me. You see? So if they're able to pour into me for free, when people ask me for information, what do you need? Do you need this? Okay. If I don't know, we will find out. Because then why would I be selfish and other people have literally poured into me for so long for free? You see? So me giving back is a big thing. And educating, especially our community, because so many of us don't know, but we don't like to ask, you see? And I guess sometimes people feel like if I ask, I'll look stupid. That if I ask, people will think I don't, you see, I'm not smart enough. No. It's not about being smart. It's so complicated information.
Do you think the fear make us don't go to the right person? But the fact that what you're doing, I'm continuing like that because you coming to us, even if you don't want to, that makes us coming to you, you know? Because you're calling people. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. Definitely, you just have to keep trying. Because sometimes like you get discouraged, you see everybody does. You do what you want to do and what you think God put you on this planet to do to help. However, if other people are not, you see, they're not receiving, that's not on you. You see, that's not on you. You're doing your job. So it's up to them to receive it at the right time for them. So and I'm hoping that this message actually resonates with so many people who actually need it, because sometimes so many people are out there and they need to hear this. And they are so busy. We all are, you see? But yeah, so I'm hoping it gets to the right person at the right time. And I'm so glad you all are here to receive it. And how about during the process, what do you all think we should work on? Because you already got pre-approved. So during the process, I emphasize making sure those documents are in order. Because when you're already talking to a lender, they're already telling you gotta work on this and bring this up. So during the process, literally, all those documents are in their own file, you see? And also making sure that you have a criteria for your needs, right? So for the house that you're looking for. And this will help me share about the goals. What do you think your goal is for a house? What is your goal, your house goal?
A family home. That's what I want for my goal.
Okay. So, and how about a smart goal? A smart family goal?
Like a single lady?
So the SMART is actually an acronym. S for simple, M for measurable, A for attainable, R realistic, and T time specific. So I would say I like a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, family home.
Family
Family home, maybe in this neighborhood, but I have to also pull on a timeline. I need it by, say for example, February 28, 2023, because then you have to put a deadline. If you don't, and you don't have a deadline, I used to say, oh, I want this. Actually, I used to say I want to start a business. Do you know how long it took me to start that business?
It takes so long.
It
I
takes so long.
went through that.
Sorry.
It took me 10 years to start mine after I was thinking about what to do, money problem, couldn't save money,
Thank you for saying
had
that.
too much going on.
Yes.
At the point that I had to just stop giving things to myself just to save money, at least to have what I want.
Wow.
And then
I believe
10, 9 years there.
I believe you because I did the same thing. I was waiting for other people to believe in me. I was waiting probably for myself to believe in myself that I could do it. and also hearing all the naysayers telling me, oh, you're a black girl in America, you can't do real estate. You see, no, who's gonna buy from you, first of all? Who's gonna believe in you to give you the money? You see, you don't have no money. Yes.
And the fear, and I didn't know where to go, how to start with not asking.
Yes.
So I had to decide on like talking, trying to see what, like people that have what I want to do, asking questions, then move to the next level. But it took so long.
It does take so long, and because you don't have a timeline, you see, it's like it's up there in the air. Until one day, I remember actually when people ask me, how did you start your business? I tell them it took me 10 years, but I haven't actually told them why I went ahead and started that business. When I actually thought about the power of home ownership, when I thought about how much power we give up, you see, because we can talk about we want what we ask for, but if you're not doing the actions, nobody will listen. You see, nobody will listen. You see, nobody will ever listen to us if we don't own. So, and I remember my mentor was saying that when I went back to Uganda, and this gentleman literally has no education, but he's like, I would say one of the billionaires in Uganda. And he took time to talk to me. I was so appreciative. And a little afraid and embarrassed at the same time because he asked me, so what business do you own? And I'm like looking at him like, what do you mean? I'm in school, I'm a student. And he asked me, how long have you been in America? 10 years. and so he's like, you have all these opportunities and you're still in school doing, how many degrees are you trying to achieve? To do what? You see? So he helped me realize that, you know what, whatever I'm chasing and I understand school is great, but you still can do something to build something for you. And that's why he mentioned that one thing, that black people in America will never have power until they own something of their own. And since then, that stuck with me. I say, I'm going back to America. I'm gonna start a business. I'm gonna finish that school. Yeah. Because he was like, we are over here. So many people are wishing to be there. You see, to get some of those opportunities, and y'all are throwing them away. I was embarrassed. Just imagine looking in front of this gentleman, you're like,
It's okay.
okay. Like at first I thought it was cool. I'm a student. I say, oh no. What am I doing with my life? That changed my perspective. And I made sure I started that business. We've been in business for over 5 years. Thank you, Lord. And even the naysayers, when you do that thing that you thought scary, guess what? Those naysayers don't matter. Whatever you were scared of before doesn't even come to pass. Like, it's gone. And then you think about the bigger thing after that. Because that battle is won. You see? So I'm glad you overcame that fear like I did. Yeah? But that's what is having those goals and making sure you have a timeline. Because the timeline is everything. Yeah. And also having the short-term goals, intermediate goals, and the long-term goals as well is important. So when we have that criteria, we have those goals already in mind, then making an offer. Never get afraid to make an offer. There are three things that can actually happen when you make an offer. What do you think there?
We talk about after?
When you make one. Say for example, you like this house and you go ahead and make the offer. So what do you think the seller might reply with?
They might not agree with the amount of money that you wanted them to sell it to you.
Yes, so that they might deny it, and then they might do something else.
They might give it to you for the beginning, like 6 months
You
a
see?
year, and then you can go to your regular normal payment after.
Yeah.
Instead of starting with the price. For example, like if the house is like 1,500, for the beginning you may start paying like 12 or 1,300. Then later on you can go up to 15. Oh, that's not the question.
I think you might be answering probably something else, which is probably similar to this. But what I was meaning with what might happen when you make an offer, normally they have 3 responses.
Okay.
People can say yes, right? And then they can say no. And when they say no, then you might also be able to counter, right? The counter offer is literally them responding and saying they like this offer, however, if you change it, they'll like it even better, right? So they didn't deny it, which is always a good thing, because most times when they deny it, I don't like when they deny, but most sellers don't deny, they will counter. And then the counter is when they tell you, okay, if you can raise it up to this summer, then that'll be a great offer. You see? Or say for example you ask for closing costs and they're like, you know what, we really don't want to give you the closing costs. Then that's a counter too. So then you can negotiate through that process. So that, yeah, so those are the 3 ways you can respond to the offer. And then the next thing is the inspection period. So inspection in Louisiana is about 7 days to 14 days. However, like I said, it's not required, but I highly recommend it for the reasons I mentioned before. During that time, the inspector comes out, looks at the property. I encourage you to come out and ask questions as well. Normally, the realtors actually show up for that too. So at least we'll ask questions, walk around the house, and normally I don't bother them too much. I let them do their job and finish up when they have to finish up. Then towards the end, that's when I come in and ask any questions and whatnot. And after the inspection, they actually send us a report. So they'll send you a report and they'll also send you a report. Different things will come up on the report. So sometimes they color code it. Red for this is serious, you have to attend to this immediately. Yellow is it's okay for now, but you address it later. And then green for go ahead, everything looks good in this part. So they'll have those little distinctions on what items need to really be focused on. I tell buyers all the time, something will always be on that inspection, okay? Especially on probably all of them. Let's focus on, if we can focus on the red and get all that done, because sometimes we want everything on the red and the yellow and everything to be done. And the sellers might look at us as like, if I have to get all these things done, that's like I'm literally starting a new house. Like I'm building a new house. That means I have to pay more to get all those repairs. So that means you might have to pay a higher price to get the house you want, right? So at least if we ask for everything in the red and some of the things in the yellow, which are really like items that need to be focused on in the yellow, then we can go ahead and at least accept that offer for the inspection and let them know, okay, if you address this and this, then we accept the offer, you see? And then after that, we go through the appraisal. The bank will send out an appraiser who will evaluate the house and tell them exactly what the value they think it is. Yes. So the house might be listed for 200,000. It doesn't mean that's exactly the value, you see? So the appraiser has to assess that value. The value might be high, the value might be low, and that's why they have to make sure, because they are looking at the homes in the neighborhood, the houses which were actually recently sold, and anything that's going on in the neighborhood, really, and the location, all the items that they need to look at to evaluate that and assess the value, to make sure that it's a viable investment for the bank. And after the appraisal, then it goes through underwriting. That's when you get information from the title company who asks you for paperwork or ask you to come in, give them your information, or even over the phone, ask you all kinds of information, but that's because they're going through the underwriting process. And that's most likely where we even close from, whichever the title company is. And through that, you go to your final walkthrough. The final walkthrough is a few days before closing, about 5 days. I normally go the day before or the day of. And it just takes time for me.
Because you gotta change something that you always
Exactly. I'm like, tomorrow is closing. I'm gonna go. Yeah. So I try to go the day before or the day off to make sure we get this at least review. Make sure everything that we expected is still there, and at least it's not torn up or anything changed during the process. And then we get to the closing. I'll say that's one of the biggest days and happiest days of my life, because coming here with $20 and so many people have come with less. So yeah, it's you see, so many people and so many challenges, especially when we come here as immigrants. People don't understand the challenges we have to overcome. You come here, literally, I could not afford a meal on the plane. You know how long our planes are? It was a 28-hour flight, you see, coming here. But I remember going to a kiosk, I think it was in Amsterdam, and they were like 20-some dollars. I only had $20. I could not afford something to eat. You see, I had to wait on those biscuits. It's
you gotta wait until the next one.
on the biscuit.
That's all.
That's all. So by the time I got to New York, my cousin was picking me up. I was hungry.
That's when they got food for us.
Exactly. And then they were asking me, oh, you wanna wait?
No,
I'm hungry. Please. I haven't eaten. And then I couldn't even tell him I only had $20. I couldn't eat on a plane. That was embarrassing because for him, I'm sure he would have been thinking like, your mom didn't send you home.
Yeah, no.
You see, with only $20. That shit, they have it. You see? So yeah, so coming with less and being able to walk out with something, it is a big thing. It is a big thing, yeah. So I'm hoping all of us get to see that at the end of the tunnel. I know, and I can't wait for you. I can't wait for you, sister. I can't wait for you, brother. Blessings. But then the after process, y'all. So after you move into your home sweet home, you make it your own. You schedule those utilities to be turned on, the electricity, the water, gas. We'll share that information with you because the seller will send it to the listing agent, and then the listing agent will send it to the buyer's agent, us, and we'll send it to you. So you have that information. And if it has alarm system, all that information we'll get to send it to you also. You change the locks. I encourage everybody to change the locks for safety. Because then it's easy to just keep those locks, but other people have those keys. So it's not even $100 to change a lock. So try to change those locks and have that peace of mind and your safety as well. But build equity and generational wealth. That's a big thing. Building that equity down the line. Every month that you're paying, some of the money you're paying on the mortgage every month is actually going towards your equity as your principal. So I know there's a lot of steps in here, but I have 10 steps specifically for that. So these 10 steps, it's my little, up to your home sweet home. And so I've shared most of them through here, but this one really emphasizes it and narrows it down. One being researching your home ownership process, also like we talked about getting those documentation ready, your finances, all that together with the before. And then the improving credit, maintaining finances, saving money. And 4 would be getting your mortgage pre-approval, know exactly what you qualify for. 5, choosing the right realtor. And then 6, have a must-have criteria, which is mainly your needs. 7, visit homes and make an offer. 8, inspection and appraisal process, as well as the underwriting process. 9, do final walkthrough and closing. And 10 is moving into your home, sweet home. excited for all of you. And the different loan programs, I have a list here, but I'll definitely recommend that you discuss most of these with the lender, because until they actually look at your information, your finances, and your credit, that's when they'll really know exactly what you qualify for. So we'll discuss the 3 ifs. No one is a veteran. The rural development, they have flexible credit guidelines. The minimum credit score is about 640. That's what they have here. It would be 620 if you go through manual underwriting. And also, you have to be deemed in the rural area, or the property has to be deemed rural, so to qualify for the USDA. And that is the 100% financing. So the FHA maximum financing is about 96.5, so you come up with a 3.5%. Mortgage insurance required, okay? So you pay about less than $100 a month, give or take, or it depends on how much your mortgage is, because this is the mortgage insurance. Flexible credit guidelines. Minimum credit score is actually 640, however, it can be 580 due to manual underwriting. Conventional, 97% maximum financing. They don't have any credit limits or location guidelines. So this one is more flexible, and a lot of people might consider this the conventional because they don't have those restrictions. Minimum credit score is 620, and also it requires a mortgage insurance. I have a few recommendations here, lenders I've used in the past and I still use, and also recommendations for home inspectors as well as title companies. And also, if you have somebody in mind, that a lender in mind that you prefer, I don't mind working with them. Also, home inspector you prefer, as well as title company that you're actually more comfortable with. Yes. And that's it for this first session. You all have any questions?